Good hello. Thank you all so much for your patience. I know I've not put out any content in a long time, but rather than make any kind of substandard or structureless kind of content, I just decided to put it on the shelf for a while. Why? Because life gets in the way. Now, palmistry is my passion. I love making these videos. I love palmistry, and I really enjoy teaching, showing, telling. I love all things palmistry. I'd love to do this sort of thing full time, but unfortunately, it doesn't really make me any money, and I just do it as a hobby. Anyway, I'm back now, and in this video, we're going to be actually getting back to the basics, like what we used to do. Uh, this is kind of something of a random palm reading. In this video, I'm looking at the hands of a 40-year-old male. Now, it's not a truly random palm reading because I know this person quite well, but it's two birds with one stone scenario because you guys get to see a random palm reading and this person gets a palm reading. And part of the reason why I decided to do this was simply because look at these hands. They are formidable. And the immediate word that springs to mind is capability. These are the hands of highly capable, loyal, dependable, practical, driven, grounded, materially driven. This is someone who understands all things worldly, all things grounded. And I say that because of the strength, the sheer strength of earth seen in this person's hands. And people with these kinds of useful hands are often drawn to worlds of a world of service in some way, servitude. Uh, Sometimes they serve themselves. Most of the time they serve others, but it's pretty much always service. They're often very much drawn to sports, and the types of sports they're drawn to are driving, racing, um, golf, tennis, football, rugby, generally things of the earth. Golf is quite a common one. This person was pretty athletic, was pretty sporty back in the day. They were actually a semi-professional skateboarder when they were younger, probably, talking 20 years ago. But the immediate thing I get from this person's hand, the sheer width, the squareness of this person's hand, the strength of the thumb. Just look at how low set it is as well, the shortness of the fingers. The width of the hand is the real thing that stands out to me, and this shows capability. It shows someone that is able to shoulder um, more than most. Now, being that this person is undoubtedly an earth hand, had they had a headline that was very straight, and I'd be inclined to say that this is someone who belongs in the military, really. But this person is a lot more creative. They are driven to the worldly and the practical, that which they can touch and see a physical, tangible result from their efforts. But they need to be creative in doing this. That's what brings them satisfaction because they're utilizing their skill set. Now, as I've mentioned, this person is 40 years old. And where we see 40 on the lifeline, timing on the lifeline is a bit of a tricky business. Um, and these days I just kind of go, right, that's 40 right there. Um, but and that's just because, I see and I judge and that's that. But for those who don't know how to time on the lifeline, it's a very, very tricky business. And it's dependent on the individual as well for many reasons. Where the lifeline begins, the arc and trajectory of that lifeline can distort findings. But for this person, here is about 35 and here is 40. And you can see at this age of 40 here, where they are, roughly where they are in their life, there's an effort line here that's rising up and away towards um, kind of in between Mercury and more Mercury than Apollo, but certainly that kind of area, those areas. Now, obviously, I know this person, so my own thoughts and feelings about what I know about them is probably going to distort some of the things I see in this person's hand, but they're also going to corroborate with what I'm seeing in this person's hand. Now, this effort line that I see rising at the age of 40 I know exactly what this is. This person This person is going to become a father due in January of next year. And so that's really what this is. There's a striving efforts here to, um, I mean, it's there's an improvement to their life. They are more fulfilled, or satisfied. Um, there's completeness here. There's that kind of piece to the puzzle here that was missing, and that's what this effort, this improvement kind of represents. But it's the striving towards doing everything that is necessary for this new life that they're bringing into the world. And that makes perfect sense, being that this person is just so dependable, loyal, practical, and capable. And immediately, as soon as I saw this person's hands, when I first saw this person's hand a long time ago, I thought this person's going to make a great dad, because of the sheer capability seen in this person's hand. This is a kind of person that can do pretty much anything they put their minds to, particularly when it comes to doing. They're doers rather than thinkers. When I say they, I mean people with this hand type, the useful hand. And I refer to David Brandon Jones' 12 hand type classification method when I say the useful hand. You can check out more about what I mean on my website, on my blog, the 12 hand type classification method. Also, you can actually just buy David Brandon Jones's book, Practical Palmistry. And in it, he has the 12 hand types that I speak of. Um, the reason why this effort line here rises towards Mercury at this age of 40 is because they're really plowing all of their energy into industry. And that's why it's heading towards Mercury. They're making a lot of money at this time. They're securing for their financial future. And you can see the same thing on the fate line as well, because the fate line, the headline, curves and arcs up and away, rising towards Mercury, kind of outer Mars and Mercury, this sort of area here. And that's just a classic telltale sign of someone who is thinking, right, I need to, secure things here and make some money. And where this occurs on the fate line, this is the fate line right here. Quite simply, the fate line where it meets the headline is at the age of 35, and in here is probably about 42. This is around about 42 right here. So things kind of come to a head financially here. At 42, there's probably going to be some financial hurdles. So my advice really would be for this person to um, actually make as much money now for the next 2 years and put some away if you can. That's probably going to be a bit difficult if with this child on the way. But the good news is that after a year or two, things really start to pick up. There is some potential emotional disappointment as a kind of obstacle, perhaps 45, 40, yeah, 45, that looks to kind of threaten the path that they're on, their career. There's going to be some, at least this is what the hands are saying right now, because the lines can and do change, but there's likely going to be some hurt here that might involve a family member. Now, you might have already noticed this, but check out the straightness, the overall straightness of the heart line. Yep, sure, it curves upwards, and its destination is certainly between Jupiter and Saturn, more Jupiter, upper Jupiter here, but the overall trajectory of the heart line is very straight, and this is showing again, this corroborates what I was saying before about this person um, resonating to a world of servitude. Their way in which they show they love is through acts of service, showing up, time, solving a problem for someone. Yeah, just putting some time out for someone to help them, to show up for them. These are acts of service, and this is probably their most formidable love language. Where the heart line ends is, a surefire sign of idealism. This person um, really holds the person that they love in high regard, and they seek or have sought a partner, not out of, if the heartline had ended quite sort of low down on Jupiter, there is idealism, but there's also this desire to find a partner aligning with material ambition, or or even trying to find someone to help support them financially. This person is quite the opposite, and they seek out someone for um, emotional connection, almost a spiritual connection. And that's really what they prioritize when it comes to how how they love. So they're quite complicated in terms of their emotional framework. Now, in Indian palmistry, the lower the thumb, the more lives a person has lived. And certainly, as far as Western palmistry goes, the low set thumb here is a sign of a humanitarian and a book lover. And I do feel that those two things, um, they do compound that Indian theory somewhat. I do think there is a correlation there. And this is certainly a low set thumb, and very open-minded, very open in terms of just who they are, very authentic. Notice how the right index finger leans away to the thumb here, whereas on the left hand it's straighter, and this shows a development of um, not so much ambition. They were always ambitious anyway. Notice how Jupiter's higher, or as high as Saturn, whereas the other mounts kind of slope off slightly, and it's the same on the right hand. Now, this is more about a person wanting to make change um, to their environment, wanting to achieve. It's not so much about ambition as it is about. I suppose I'm splitting hairs when I say the desire to accomplish, but it's about making changes to their immediate environment. Now, to further this, Indian theory here of a person having lived many lives, this fate line, as you a lot of you have already picked up on, look at look at where it's coming from. It doesn't just come from Pluto; it comes from the furthest reaches of Pluto that it possibly could. This person also has a memory loop here as well. I'll get around to explaining that slightly. But this is absolutely in Indian palmistry said to be someone who has come back on a mission, come back with unfinished business from a previous life. They have something to achieve and accomplish in this life, and that's probably why this person is as driven as they are. I don't think ambitious is quite the right word. I think they're driven. And that makes sense, given that inner Mars here is just look at the sheer size of inner the capacity for drive and motivation. You know, the reason why Mars is the god of war, Venus is the god of lady of love, but also known as the lady of love and battles. Mars sitting next to this makes perfect sense. And it really shows that this person is, again, dependable, loyal. This is exactly the kind of person you want in your corner. Um, if you are in a fight in some sort of way, this person will back you. If they are your friend, if they are your enemy, good luck. Because this is really just someone who's very loyal and driven. Now, there is something of a star here that is almost perfectly formed here on just on the side of the Jupiter mount here. And this is really interesting because it's not fully there. This lovely cross here is a wonderful thing to see. This is born out of sympathy. Um, there's a couple of things going on here, but this star, I'll just kind of try and stay on track, is absolutely a sudden and miraculous, almost kind of predestined accomplishment, a rise in status, recognition. It's a mark of the potential for fame, or at the very least, a brush with fame, working with famous people. But I believe this is quite a significant possibility here of an achievement of status. It's quite profound, and it's going to really provide a feeling of accomplishment. Now, this cross here is, as I say, born out of sympathy, and there is something of almost a kind of a star here at the beginning of their life in general. And this is quite a sort of shocking incident here. And I'm wondering if that is a potential kind of accident or injury when they were really quite young. Um, it almost kind of looks like they got, were in an accident or a car crash, or, got really organs injured here or something similar. But I could be wrong about this because no, I'm gonna go with that. I think there was possibly some hospitalization. There's something here around that. But I find it interesting that out of this, somehow there's a connection here with this cross here. Cross on Jupiter is a brilliant sign because it shows a loving, fulfilling, happy marital union. It shows a prosperous love life, a faithful, loving um, person, really, and relationship. And nothing about this hand shows me otherwise anyway. But I find it really interesting that that's somehow connected to this really quite sort of shocking and sudden incident from when, and I mean, this is probably about the age of 5 or so. I would say 5 years old. So that's really interesting. The hands are really quite a mystery to me and still in so many ways. Now, I mentioned a memory loop over here. Going backwards and forwards a little bit here, but I don't want to miss anything out that's of note. This is an absolutely a sign of perception and, of course, long-term memory. Now, Earth hands are really good at, or bad, depending on how you look at it, retaining information. They don't forget. They are kind of like elephants, and they hold grudges because of it. But it also means that they don't often make the same mistake twice. They learn from their mistakes. It's also a mark of perception. It enables people to. It gives them an edge. It gives them. They are almost kind of able to read the room. Read, there's an edge here in terms of perception. They can kind of pick up on things, and see a little bit ahead, see a little bit further, maybe pick up on someone's feelings. Memory loops are very often seen on the hands of counselors. Um, you know, being so practical and dependable, reliable and loyal, this person would make, you know, a great counselor. But I think more than that, I think this person would be um, a judge or a police officer. And I say that because of the sheer width of this person's hands. They are great at managing people. They're really good at managing people. Now, the right hand Jupiter appears ever so slightly longer than the left hand Jupiter finger. I think if that's true, I think there's not much in it, but I do think there is truth to that. And I think that's because this person has ever so slightly improved their sense of self-worth, their ego, but also all things leadership as well, judgment, decision making, ambition, all these things have kind of increased slightly with alongside their sense of self. The reason why I say that is quite simply because the right hand is the external and the developed. The left hand is what we've been given, and our thoughts and feelings. It's everything internal. The right hand is more an external. And so you could absolutely interpret this as this person internally doesn't think as much as themselves as they present. They present themselves as more confident or having greater self-esteem than they actually do. And that is a fairly accurate assessment. And I think the same can be said for a lot of people, but this is something of a development and it's healthier. Now, look at the trajectory of the headline. The headline begins very high up on the hand. Now, this is absolutely a sign of someone who is ambitious and driven. And it's almost as though their perception, their ideas, their thoughts is fueled by inner Mars itself, the sheer the tank of Mars. It sort of sits on top of this. Now, a headline that begins this high up on the hand, almost into Jupiter itself, is the mark of a leader, of a born leader. People with a high headline like this, they are driven, they are ambitious, but they are also seen by others as someone who, they want to follow this person. And I think that's largely because of just how driven this person is. I think the two kind of go hand in hand. People see what this person is capable of, they're highly capable, and they want to get behind that. They want to be a part of what they're doing, or they want to be like this person. This is partly why this person is a natural leader. not just for that reason, but also, as I've mentioned, they are hugely, highly capable when it comes to social scenarios. Now, the wider a person's hands, the larger, the bigger the heart. This person has a gigant, quite literally, physically, a gigantic heart. The heart is as big as your fist, and so the bigger it is, the more work it's putting out, and particularly from 40 and onwards, the more care it needs. Now, I'm not saying that this person has anything to worry about particularly, but I do think there needs to be a gradual consideration for heart health as they gradually age. And that just simply means eating well, keeping on top of consistent low impact exercise and avoiding stress, and maybe also looking into supplements like hawthorn and cranberry extract. There are almost certainly heart issues within this person's family, and I believe that at the age of 56, 57, there may well be some heart issues that crops up for this person as a result of well, it's just down to genetics, really. But as I've mentioned, it's not impossible to improve this as an outcome, because the lines can and do change. If we decide to make changes to our life right now, consistently keep on top of them, the lines will change correspondingly. Now, again, I just want to reiterate, I'm not massively concerned, but I do think some cardiac issues may start to crop up. So particularly avoiding stress as well. That's a big one, particularly around that age, and stepping away from stressful commitments when this person gets into their kind of mid 50s. Just look at the angle on this thumb here. This person has remarkable timing, and it is probably, on time, kind of by the book when it comes to um, you know, punctuality. Um, but also they're really good with their hands. They're a doer. They love getting stuck in. They love seeing a physical result through their efforts, through their creative efforts, and their well of creativity is certainly pronounced and very active, and it provides an image of it just being quite firm. A firm lunar mount always shows someone who's very able to um, complete their ideas. This person has a lot of ideas. I'm just checking here. The size of logic is indeed longer than willpower, which is fine. There's plenty of drive anyway. Um, so this person has a lot of ideas, but they're also very able to complete them. They see things through. They have an idea. They don't just um, have a lot of ideas, but they see them all through. And so it just means this person just gets a lot done. He's doing a lot all the time. But it also means, notice how Luna's a little bit of a shelf here. It's kind of just bulging out and making a bit of a shelf here. And this is really kind of showing that this person could probably do with being a bit more tactful, a bit more diplomatic and sensitive where sensitive situations are required, in particular in matters of the heart, in close, loving, personal relationships, family, um, where is required real sensitivity at this time. At times, this person can speak too few words for the occasion, and that's quite evident here by what we see in there. Now, just here on the lifeline, this is the age of, I'm going to say 52, maybe 53. There's travel at this time, and it's quite meaningful, it's quite impactful. This could be, I wouldn't say a move, but I think there's certainly some, yeah, it's possible actually. This is a move, a long distance move of some sort. Um, but I think I get the impression this person is traveling for their work. It's a move for work. It's not like a permanent move, but it's certainly hugely impactful. And there's a couple of years later, there's a lot of travel in their early 50s. And again, I can't help but, I really want to advise this person when they're approaching their mid 50s, it's really time to kind of step back from activities and commitments that cause stress. Stress must be avoided. Again, I'm not hugely concerned. I just want what's best for their health. And when you look at the overall configuration here of um, this person's success that really comes into its own in their early to mid 50, in their early 50s. I'm going to say 53, 50, yeah, 53. It's very possible that this person achieves a significant level of success at this time, possibly even fame. And when you look at the configuration here of the Fate line, the Sun line, and the Mercury line, look at just how it's creating this wonderful trident, and it all stems from the Lifeline at this time, early 50s. 53, I would say this person could well achieve fame, and there's gonna be a lot of travel around in these early 50s, and obviously, you know, they're going to be a dad as well. There's a lot going on for this person at this time. Their career, it seems a little sort of faint in terms of, and I think that's a lot to do with, well, firstly, their age right now, it's a long way off, but also just the sheer amount that's going to happen in between now and then, the travel, it puts things up in the air. It puts things, their future's still in flux. Notice how the lifeline it makes its way down into Pluto. It doesn't. There's a kind of a potential, a possibility to sort of find its way around underneath the ball of Venus here, as most people's lifelines do, indicating that they kind of die in their native homeland. This person, I believe, there's a strong possibility that they will in fact live and die abroad. But again, a lot is still in flux, and I do believe that in later life, certainly, this person will live abroad. When I say abroad, I mean a long distance from where they were born. I have a sneaky suspicion I know exactly where that is, and I'm sure this person does as well. There is the possibility for another child for this person at 45. But the palms really don't care what we think and feel when it comes to children, contraception, miscarriage. The palms will still present the possibility very confusingly and they contradict. There's a lot of contradiction when it comes to children in the palms, so it's not entirely reliable. So all I'm going to say is there's the possibility for a second child at 45. Please let me know your thoughts on this palm reading, and if you yourself would like a palm reading, please do book on my website. You can book a palm reading with me at piscespalmist.com. Thank you so much for watching. Please give this video a like. Please subscribe. It all helps. And hopefully, very hopefully, I'll see you in the near future for another video. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.